Welcome back to Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast for fans who aren't ready to let go and newcomers to the series who are ready to jump in. I'm Drew Schulman.
And I'm Marie Vigourou. In this episode, we're diving into Supernatural Season 9, Episode 1. I think I'm gonna like it here. Let's get this show back on the road.
Like any character on the show, were we ever going to stay gone?
I mean, right, they try to kill us, but then, we just defy death every single time.
Yep. And even the ones who are dead still come back, Bobby.
Yes, I know. Oh my God. Okay, we'll get to Bobby. Before we get to Bobby, I think it's been long enough that we need to have a little bit of housekeeping, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is like the joke of like, how long was I out for? It's like there was like a 5-minute nap. It's like 7 years later, and the house is just like literally like a haunted house with cobwebs and spiders.
I think in our case, it's almost a year or a little bit over a year or something like that. It's been a year that we haven't actually released anything. So I guess the first thing that I do want to mention here is that exceptionally, this particular episode is coming out on a Saturday. And the goal of that is to highlight the 20th anniversary of Supernatural. And I cannot believe that those words are coming out of my mouth.
It was, oh my God, just seeing your face as you were like, I can't believe I'm saying these words.
So happy 20th anniversary, Supernatural. It first came out on Friday, the 13th, 2005. And on the day of the release of this episode, we will be September the 13th, 2025.
I cannot believe like that feels so long ago. It really is. Oh my God. It is baffling that that this show's been around that long and that we're still doing it. And I'm so happy to be back. I'm happy to be with you. I'm happy to be with you, our listeners. I missed this. I missed you. I missed us.
I know. I missed everybody as well. And so, but we will be back to our Friday schedule as of next week. So just wanted to mention that. We also really want to thank everybody who supported us during this hiatus, whether it was financially or otherwise. Thanks to everybody who kept the server active, also our Discord server. Thanks to everybody who answered the question of the day. Thanks to everybody who shared all of their feelings about the developments on the show 911, because there was definitely a lot of that going on this year.
Like, I know nothing about the show except for the discourse in our Discord.
Honestly, same. Same. I haven't seen it yet.
And now that we are back, we just want to remind everyone that we are a listener-supported podcast, and it's you guys that keep the lights on in here. We use your donations to pay for hosting, domain names, editing softwares, and more. So if you'd like to help us with keeping the show going, sign up or re-sign up for our Patreon or our Coffee.
Also, make sure to check out our new tiers. We've simplified a lot of things just to make it simpler for you, but in all honesty and with full transparency, it's also to make it simpler for us, because we want to be doing this podcast, for another few years. Just because we hit 20th anniversary doesn't mean that we're going to stop now. And so we want to get to the end of this show, right? We want to actually cover every single episode of the show Supernatural, because we want to get even with Monster of the Week is what we want to do, basically.
That's it.
And in order, purely fueled by spite.
Yep.
And in order to do that, we absolutely need to do that sustainably. So we made some small changes to our format as well.
Yeah. So I will be taking the lead on story time going forward. Again, it's going to be a conversation like it always is, but it is a chance for me, again, with that kind of like fresh faced, like fresh eyes. I'm new to the whole thing, chance to really see it from that perspective and then bring my observations. Again, a theme that Mary has helped select along with Rochelle because they know what to expect a little more than I do going into these episodes. But it's a great way to view it, to know what to not expect, but the angle to be watching it from, what to look out for more. and help direct our conversation about the characters, the episodes, the theme of each individual, our theme and the episode's theme.
Hmm. And I am going to be keeping critical time. So critical time is going to stay about the same, just maybe a little bit longer than before. You know, we're still going to be talking about Supernatural as like a human creation with all of the wonderfulness and all of the flaws that that entails. And I am also going to be asking a question every week. And I would really love to encourage you to send us your answers to these questions as voicemails. You can also share your thoughts on social media, and please also share your thoughts in the server if you're on there. I mean, the whole point of this is to keep the conversation going, to start new conversations, and to, I guess, decentralize the conversation around us and kind of make it about the fandom and what the fandom and the listeners of this podcast are thinking. So just make sure to tag us, though, if you can or if you want to, because we would love to actually read your stuff. And when I say we, I mean I.
I do my best to keep up when I can, but I do want to avoid being spoiled by accident, so I'm careful with the socials.
I'm also like a huge gossip and I'm very nosy and I want to know what you're saying, basically, is what's going on.
And I always I look forward. I love hearing answers to the questions we pose on the show, to our voicemails, to our listener submitted content. So just more of that's always going to make me happy, which is great. Another little thing we're going to make a change to is we are switching up the segment that you might recall being called Thoughts and Reflections or Calls to Actions. And we are moving to a What We Learned This Week. A little bit looser, a little more room to just sort of discuss whether it be the show, the theme of the show, a character in particular, or something we've connected with. I just, you know what, I think it gives us a bit more room to play with, to discuss more topics and bring more things up naturally in the episode to send us all off with a fun or thought provoking moment before we say goodbye for the weekly episode.
No, I am very excited. This is like a test run for us recording this, but I really hope that the listeners are going to love this. That's kind of the goal of making these
Of
changes, right?
course,
So I think it's time for me to ask, are we ready for the recap?
count me down.
Three, two, one, go.
Sam is magically super fine after apparently almost dying trying to save the world. Psych, no, he's not. He's in a coma. In this coma dream, he is sitting in a car with Dean and suddenly Bobby, representing the two sides of do I want to live or let myself go on the mortal coil. Enough about that. Dean is doing whatever he can to try to save Sam, as is the status quo of the supernatural universe. A call to all angels because Cass unfortunately can't hear him without his grace, and we'll get to Cass too. A bunch of angels show up being like, hey, Dean, we need to kick your ass because you're kind of the number one problem right now for us because you can lead us to Cass. But then one angel shows up and he's like, no, I'm cool. I'm Zeke. I'm going to help save Sam by possessing him without his knowledge and cure him. And I'm super jacked and good looking, and I'm sure nothing wrong will happen with Sam having another thing living inside of him that he didn't let happen, Lucifer all over again. Cass is totally human now, like fully like needs to drink water human, and is on his own finding his way, meeting other angels. Things aren't going very well, but he's going to try to make his way back to the bunker and get reunited. Time.
This episode was written by Jeremy Carver, directed by John F. Showalter, and it originally aired on October 8th, 2013. We have a few things that are happening in this episode that I want to highlight in the long game.
Please.
I don't usually do this, but because our last episode was over a year ago, I sort of figured that we all kind of needed a refresher. I realized that I hadn't watched Supernatural since the last time we recorded, to be honest.
I mean, same, but
Yes, for different reasons, I suppose. So this episode is really all about the fallout of like the season 8 finale, right? Like Metatron tricked Castiel into closing the gates of heaven. The angels literally fell out of the sky, and Sam basically almost died trying to finish like the trials to close the gates of hell. He ended up not completing the last trial, so the gates of hell are still open, but Sam is not well. TM.
yeah. Which reminds me, like in that recap, I forgot because we never actually see him, but Crowley, who was almost kind of cured and might be regaining some form of consciousness, is just like chilling in Baby's trunk.
Yes. was going to say Crowley is still in the trunk of the Impala. So we'll see what happens with that later. We do see Bobby again. I know that it's not really Bobby, don't argue the semantics with me, but we'll take it. It's Jim Beaver playing Bobby. We'll take it.
I'm happy to have him back. So
Exactly. We meet Ezekiel, who starts basically possessing Sam's body without his knowledge.
mm-hmm.
The Earth now has a bunch of angels who are possessing human vessels. We get the iconic line, "There ain't no me if there ain't no you."
Which like funny because like I remember the line coming up and I'm like, oh, it's a callback, right? Like I know the line. It's not like new. No, it's new. It's just it
It's new.
seems it's weirdly iconic, I guess, that it's like I've just known it always.
Yeah, it's one of those things that always like gets played in like the recaps or the whatever, like supernatural highlights and that kind of stuff. Ooh, oh, I didn't put that in there. I mean, it doesn't really have anything to do with the show, well, the story of the show, but we do see Misha Collins taking off his clothes, and I do have to say that that is quite a
Oh
show
yeah,
for
no,
everybody.
that is a very. There was a moment too when he walks into the laundromat. I'm like, oh, we're getting that classic like character that strips in a laundromat scene. Like, I'm
But
on
didn't
board
he
with
feel
this.
more naked with just like his suit jacket on than without? Like, because I was like, oh
Yeah,
my God, he took off the the trench coat. He's naked.
I mean that's his thing. He's a baby in a trench coat. The trench coat's the thing.
Hmm.
So going into story time this week, our theme is return. Looking at the theme of return, we do need to see it from all three of our major players as they all return in their own ways. It's again a very potent theme this week, and I'm going to suggest we start with Sam because as we discover is as we said in a coma at the end of from the end of last season's finale, the trials have ended. He has survived, sort of. TM, as you put it, he's well-ish.
He
And
is still, his heart is still beating.
yes, he's not legally dead yet.
Oh God.
But now he is presenting with this choice, the choice to, as our theme would dictate, return to the land of the living or join death, the literal the Reaper, to a final rest.
I know. I guess that we can say that Sam is like returning from his journey on the trials, right? Like, and the way that he returns is very much like up in the air. Like, is he going to choose life or is he going to choose death? And that's really like the central question of this episode here.
Yeah, and again, the fact that it's like I I think going into this, I was very much like, oh, he's obviously going to choose life, like he'll
Right.
figure it out. But like by the episode's end, Sam like does return to the land of the living. Again, not surprised. The show's not going to happen without both brothers. Like I cannot imagine, like maybe an episode without one, but not a season. But his journey to this return is where we really need to focus, like on like how he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing, right? Like realistically, like you said, like they're not going to continue Supernatural without Jared Padalecki, without like Sam Winchester, right? Like Supernatural works when the two brothers are on it. Um, I would, it's not just that, folks. I didn't say the other thing, but like it works when they're both on it, right? And we still have 6 seasons of the show to get through, so obviously Sam doesn't die, but it gets real close in this episode. And honestly, like I am seeing this episode very differently now than I did when I first started watching it, to be
Ooh.
entirely honest. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll talk about that a bit more like later on in the episode, but like Sam gets real close to not coming back to life, not choosing life.
So again, so we have this really interesting tool that we use where we get kind of Bobby and Dean playing the like angel and devil on the shoulder,
Right.
which again a bit of a misnomer because I feel like neither one is particularly wrong or right. They're just two sides of a conversation.
Hmm.
Um, or in this case, his mind deciding between life and death, literally. Um, but ultimately, like it does seem that without the intervention of Dean and Ezekiel, and almost feels like trickery by the end, he was ready to choose death. He was ready to, and again, it I'm tiptoeing around the words because the idea of just like someone it's not choosing death, it's accepting death. He has come to a natural end of his life natural doing a lot of stretching in that term, but he has come to a an end point and choosing to stop the trickery and the BS and the risks and just being like, yeah, my time has come. I'm done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I would actually argue that he had chosen death before the trickery, right? Like he had chosen to, and I absolutely agree with your choice of words here, which is like to accept his natural death, natural, quote unquote.
Yes.
Doing the trials to close the gates of hell. I don't know if really it qualifies as natural, but you know what I mean, right? Like it's the end of like his
As
life.
natural as they're ever going to have it end.
That I will take that. I will take that. I want to talk about the fact that like having Dean and Bobby here is telling us something about Sam because it's always nice to see Jim Beaver. It's always nice to see Bobby again, right? Like just from a fan standpoint, with a little bit of fan service is always very lovely. But I just I was wondering about why Bobby, right? Like why would Bobby be the person to like not push him, but like encourage him to accept his death. Because Bobby hadn't particularly been like accepting of his own death, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, like to me anyway, it really makes sense that Dean would be like the representation for Sam of like the never give up on life kind of side of the argument, because Sam has always seen Dean as like the example of a survivor. And I say that, but at the same time, we have seen Dean like break down in front of Sam before, saying that he doesn't want to go on. And I'm thinking particularly of like the Roanoke episode. But Sam still really perceives him as somebody who doesn't give up, right? As somebody who holds on, as somebody who like I want you to give a damn. Like it's like that kind of like beating him down until he agrees to fight some more kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess I just find it interesting that Bobby is that person who is like, lay your head down and rest side of the argument, right? And I guess like I said, I'm trying to wrap my head around why. Because Sam has never seen Bobby give up or want to die either. And I think that the way that I'm explaining it to myself is that Sam sees Bobby as like a parental figure that is able to bring him emotional comfort. Because right now for Sam, the emotionally comforting thing he thinks would be to die, to accept his death, right? And I know that we saw that over a year ago, but in the last episode, he was telling Dean about like his regrets and his suffering. And I guess in this moment, he must be looking for emotional comfort, and his direct link to that is Bobby. And even beyond that, like I think that Sam just misses Bobby, right? Like if we just strip it down really bare, like I just I just feel like so many feelings for our tallest being because he is really not having a good time.
No, I think that's a really interesting point to bring because I'm trying to think, like, as you were discussing this, like, who else could it have been to, like, I can't think of anyone who passed on even semi peacefully that Sam could have relied on as like a indication of a positive end.
I think you could argue that maybe Jess could have been that. However, that has already been used very specifically Jess as like a vessel for Lucifer. And so that would have brought back some connotations that I think like just didn't make sense for the story that was being told in this moment. Um, but yeah, I think you could make the argument that Jess could have been that for him, but I don't know. I think Bobby really worked really well.
Yeah, I think Bobby, the emotional note of Bobby, and like, you know what? I look back at our final goodbye to physical Bobby because again, we do have him come back with the whole rescue from hell thing. Um, and while I think that final moment, that him sitting down to watch TV with the two of them before his mind finally goes and he says goodbye, it's a very peaceful moment for us that we as a viewer, or at least I do, equate Bobby with like a leaving gracefully at the end.
Yeah. Okay. I
So
I see
I can
that.
see
Whoop.
that.
Oh my gosh, I almost dropped all of my drink all over myself.
That would be bad.
Oh no.
Uh, but back to Sam with this conundrum is he does push coma Dean away after he dream murders coma Bobby. Another perfectly ordinary sentence for discussing the show just came out of my mouth. Uh, but like we had discussed, it seems like he has really decided that it was time to embrace the end. I mean, he even took the extra steps of confirming with death, like, this is it. There's no undoing this. There's no negative side effects of this. No one's going to die trying to bring me back because there isn't a way. Like, this is final. Like, taking the extra safety to know this really is the end and that it isn't something that could be interrupted or disturbed. Of course, this wouldn't be supernatural if a near death wasn't reversed at the literal last possible moment.
And
And
that's the thing. That's exactly what Sam was asking for not to
What
happen. Like
happened?
he had been so clear in his wishes and his advanced directives. Like it's just, uh, poor Sam.
Yeah. And this is where I have like this is I'm gonna pin this as a like I'm curious to revisit this when we learn more about uh, eventually when Sam becomes aware of Ezekiel's possession, because it's air quotes Dean that appears with a plan to save him, only to reveal that it was actually Ezekiel sort of tricking Sam into being his vessel, which again, like you like angels need permission. Does this like coercion count? Like I clearly it works. Like, you know, Sam's back, he's returned, he's on the wiser of the shady dealings. Whatever he saw there in his mind palace at the very end didn't stick, or it wasn't allowed to stick. But whatever it was, it brought him back, and I imagine will become a focal point of his character for this season.
Yes. I mean, listen, I'm not even giving you any spoilers. Like we can tell the writing is already on the wall at this point, right? Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
as we know, angels can't just possess human vessels the way that demons can. And so they need the vessel's consent. And I put that in very heavy quotes because I'm definitely not convinced that Sam consented to this.
Yeah, this feels like it feels like a technicality being abused. Where like, yes, Sam functionally said yes to Dean. I'll do whatever you want me to do to save me, which Ezekiel took as, haha, that's me possessing you to save your butt. But it feels very icky.
Because it is, right? Because you said it almost feels like they're tricking him. They are. It is
Yeah,
trickery. It is absolutely trickery. It is like false representation. It's everything that you want. It's a lie. It's a lie, is what
yeah.
it is, right? They basically tricked him into saying yes because he doesn't actually know exactly he's like what he is saying yes to.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like they're gonna be talking about that for the rest of the season. Like it's that's what this is gonna be about.
I'm very very intrigued to see where that goes, given Sam's history with sharing his mind with someone else.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like they're flirting with the limits of consent,
Yeah.
and this whole season, there's going to be a lot of questions coming up about consent, like from all angles. I don't even know how to say this without spoiling anything, but yeah.
Yeah, given that I'm kind of guessing angels are going to be the predominant antagonist for this season, I'm guessing that'll be relevant. Um, but yeah, so Sam is back. Things are a bit shady, but he's walking around.
Yeah.
Ezekiel makes a little appearance at the end there, so we know that Ezekiel's can steer once in a while. But we'll see where that goes with Sam.
Hmm.
As for Dean, this episode is back in a way that feels like too normal for him. Again, within the context of as normal as potentially apocalyptic angel meteor showers can be. His return is kind of a return to form as like his protector in this guardian role to Sam that he's always played. We also pretty quickly have Dean praying, which is something we've only really seen him do like when he's at his most desperate and usually to just Cass. So to see him spread the message, clearly we learn is a big mistake, but still seems like a new level of desperation for Dean, as even praying to Cass only became like slightly common as their relationship really solidified. So to have him go from, well, can't get Cass, let me try anybody else because I'm that desperate. It was like, whoa, okay, like you've set the stakes, Dean. I get it.
Yeah, like we can really tell immediately that like, oh, we've upped the stakes. Like this is really important. And it's really funny because to be honest with you, I forgot so much about this episode. Like I completely forgot about the praying, and I don't know why because it's such a central, like not a central, but a pivotal moment, right? Like that's
Hmm.
what brings all of the angels to the hospital. And you're completely right. It's actually a break from Dean's like usual form, which is to pray to Cass specifically. But maybe we can say that like Dean having Cass answer his prayers has actually made him more confident in asking for help from more or from other people. Like it really, really, really sucks that it actually backfires on him like that. Um, Obviously, it doesn't help like building his trust in others, but like I think it shows that like he has evolved in his willingness to ask for help.
Now that you say it, it almost feels like the when you become close enough to somebody, usually a significant other, that like you're now comfortable to reach out to like one of their siblings or parents without going
Yeah.
through them. So
Yes, exactly.
he's like, Cass and I are close enough. I can reach up to his bros and sisses, and
Yes.
they'll have my back, right? They're not going to show up and try to murder me a bunch. That would never happen. Oh, poor little Dean.
Honestly, I
Um,
kind of love that though. Like not the murdering part, obviously.
no.
Not the attempted murder. Although we do talk about that a lot in Rude Eats, but that is not that kind of show. Um, but yeah, no, it's like it's just yeah, I do like that. I like the
Yeah,
idea of Dean
like
calling up like Cass's
especially that it like
brothers.
yeah, the fact that it backfires hurts even more because it's really
I
like it's
know.
so wholesome and like I love it as a growth moment for Dean that is ruined by this.
I agree.
Um, but at the same time, like while Dean has had this moment of like growth that we only just realize now, he is really returning to his old ways in that his way of choosing to save Sam is that he'd rather lie to his brother and do something that he knows Sam would not approve of in order to save him rather than lose him. I feel as if I'm being like overly critical of Dean at this moment, but it is true. Like I get doing anything, but like to go so against his wishes, like Dean needs to save Sam and his family in general that he'll go so far as to betray them if only to save them. Like he'd rather them lose faith in him or be upset with him, but live.
Yeah, I think that this really speaks to the fact that returns aren't necessarily always happy or joyful, right? Like sometimes
Hmm.
returning to something can be sad or even negative, like Dean returning to like hiding things from his brother, for example. Because let's be real, this has some real like echoes of the early seasons when both Sam and Dean were like hiding things from one another. And that's like I don't know. Personally, that's the stuff that I hate the most about the show. So like the that kind of angstiness
Hmm.
is like that kind of angst is like not my cup of tea. And so I do have like yeah, this season is hard for me.
Yeah, I've always felt like the hardest part of, and it's not just Supernatural. It's a lot of shows. It's the when characters lie to each other. When you have that moment of like, just if only this was communicated better, things could be done. Like, I don't think I posit that a world in which they're able to better communicate this and come to an understanding and get the outcome that we currently have with Ezekiel possessing Sam and them getting to live, like not impossible, but like realistically probably wouldn't happen given that Sam was ready to choose to go off peacefully and knowing the only safety was doing something he is so adamantly like opposed to given his history with Lucifer and having things in his body that he didn't choose to have.
Oh.
That it really seems like yes, a world where this would happen without this conflict seems so unlikely, but that it's the biggest thing that like it sits on my chest as like a weight of like, oh, like I'm not looking forward to Sam finding this out. Like I'm looking forward to learning more about Ezekiel. I'm looking forward to learning more about Crowley and everything now and how Cass is being human. But like this inevitable shoe to drop is just like it's a pit in my stomach, and I'm not like, I'm so uncomfortable with it.
Oh yeah. I agree. I same.
But on a positive, let's go to Cass.
Yes.
Yay, yay, our boy. finds himself graceless and back on Earth in a seemingly mortal form. I'm getting the vibe that it's very much like he is now as human as he can be.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a reconnection with Dean over a phone call, and we're now kind of on a homeward bound esque journey of this poor lost creature trying to get his way back to Dean.
Oh, I know, poor baby. He's just like, I want to come back home. You're my home.
I know. And even then, rather than attempting to like return to heaven to right his wrongs, he is choosing to return to his new home and family and hoping to help others along the way. He is sort of taken on this mission of like, yeah, no, heaven's done. It's over. Like we're out. We're not going back. We're here now. Let's make the best of it and let me get back to my boy. And then he's also now faced with, not just learning to be human, but like actually needing to be human. Like I think the shift here from like humans are interesting. I want to learn more about their culture, like an outside observer, and like maybe take part in some of their rituals and practices to like he steals clothes in order to save some change so he can buy himself a bottle of water and a sandwich. Like
Oh, I know.
he he is returned to the mortal world a literally changed man and very literally a man.
Yeah, listen, it's actually so interesting to see what Cass is like turning to and what he's returning to, because he no longer has his grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like fully human at this point. Like he had that moment where he gets run over by the car because he's in the middle of the goddamn road, and he's like, "It hurts," and I'm like, "Oh
Also, just a quick aside, like the luckiest hit and run possible because the guy is like, let me give you money, let me give you a ride, let me take care of you, like just like the nicest random truck driver ever. Like kudos, lucky find.
It might actually be like the person who has been the nicest to Cass on the show.
Honestly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know, right? I'm like, oh, he gave him change and a lift, and this is the nicest that anyone has ever been to him. My poor baby.
Hopefully he gets better.
But so that's the thing. So he still has, he can hear Angel Radio, but he can't broadcast on it, right? Is what we
Mm-hmm.
find out when he's talking
Yes.
to, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but to the other
Hail.
angel. Yes, there you go. The other angels who fell, they're not at full power, but they do have some power. Like they still have their grace. Um, and it's just like so sad because Cass was really hoping to help heaven, to help the angels, and Metatron used that desire in order to trick him. Um, and it's so like the intentions are different, but like the tricking feels very reminiscent of what is happening in this episode. But I won't say
Oh,
that too loud because I think people are going to be real mad at me. But yeah. Um, I said it. It's out there.
you know what? Let me say I agree with you. So if we're gonna get flack, we'll get it together.
Thanks.
Because I do. I genuinely agree with you. I think it's a really good comparison.
You
I
stand with
think
your canceled podcast wife.
till the very end.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, like I think what it comes down to here, though, like where I can see where people might be frustrated is because Sam's being tricked against his will to save, where Metatron is like using Cass's eagerness to help and do good and like redeem himself. It almost feels more like the way um Sam was tricked when it came to the Demon Blood arc.
Yes, of course.
Being told where you're doing this thing, yes, you're killing and drinking the blood, but it's for good reason. But ooh, it was actually to do a thing I wanted to do. Haha, bad person.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we've talked about how Sam and Cass have very similar arcs, right? Like, and I think
Yeah.
that that's like another example of that. But yeah, so just to kind of like finish my thought
Yeah,
here.
sorry.
No, that was a really good idea. So, like, by closing the gates of heaven, Cass basically went back to being hunted by the angels instead of like being forgiven, which is what he was hoping for, right? And it's really sad. It's really sad.
It is. You know what, like I want the best for Cass, but like this is a really sad start, and I'm hoping for positivity.
Mm.
Will we ever get that? But that's another story. So I do want to end story time by going into kind of just where my head is at with this episode. So like we're back in the swing of things pretty quickly. Like you've got plenty of mysteries looming for me. The big ones are still Ezekiel, who like I don't trust given the way he tricks Sam. Uh, he's sexy as all hell, but like I don't trust him. Um, just saying, this is like the few like we got like a few shots of like other angels like picking up the prayer, and like it's him getting about to get on a bus, and I'm like, oh, who's this hunk of man meat I'm liking here? Was a very immediate like, yes, I like
I
you.
love that. Like, I feel the same way about Ruby, to be honest with you.
I again not wrong. Um, so yeah, we do have the other angels that Cass, I'm assuming, will encounter on his way to reunite with Dean. Which again is the that's what I want to see. I want to see Dean react to human Cass. That's what I really want to see.
No,
But
don't we all, brother? Don't
given
we all?
yes, it, both on screen and the implied off screen. Um, but like we did meet that angel Hale who Cass just wanted to help and guide her towards doing good, and she, I mean, ultimately has to kill her because she threatens to kill him basically, and it gets pretty messy. But I'm very curious to see how other angel encounters go. If it's going to kind of follow this trainer, if we're going to get different examples of it. And lastly, I know he's only alluded to in this episode. I'm assuming we'll see him soon. Is the former king of hell, current king of the trunk, who is like possibly returned to good at the end of last season. Like I feel like it was left ambiguous enough that like I don't know what to expect from him, but whatever it is, I want to see it. Because genuinely I love him and I want a redemption arc for Crowley so bad. I know I'm never gonna get.
I just love the moment where Dean is like, knock once if you're still alive.
It
Like,
it
oh my
feels like one of
God.
those like he wasn't on set for that day, but they needed a moment to like refer to him, and that was I think it's just so bloody
They
delicious.
needed to remind people, they needed to remind viewers that like he was there. And that was a really, really smart way of going about it. I loved it.
100%.
I figured that this week we could have a little bit of a meta critical time where I put the theme in conversation with our own experiences with the podcast, with the show, and with the episode. Because when Rochelle and I got together to talk about what theme to pick for this specific episode, we kind of like paused and we realized that this would be like the first regular episode of Carrying Wayward to be released in like over a year. And so we kind of wanted to be sensitive to that. And I know that like for sure I had like some anxieties around like coming back to this, right? Like would listeners still be around? Would they even care? Like is it even relevant to be talking about Supernatural in 2025? Right? Like I mean, come on. I didn't really have any answers to that obviously, and that's what made me realize that returning to something comes with a certain amount of uncertainty. Now, what's interesting in this episode, the first episode of season 9, is that it returns literally where we left off in season 8, right? The angels are falling from the sky. Dean is taking Sam to the hospital after he collapsed at the church, trying to close the gates of hell. And I just find that to be really notable here. The etymology of the word return is meaning again, and turn, literally meaning to turn again. But this also means like to give back or to restore. And I kind of got hooked on this idea of like returning something being like restoring it. So, like when you return something, you restore it because we returned to the podcast, and in that sense, like we restored it. But if we look back at the brothers and what they're doing in this episode, Dean is trying to return Sam to a state of health, to return him to life, to like deturn him from death in a way, right? And to restore his health. Dean is returning to lying to Sam, quote unquote, for his own good, restoring the toxic ways of his father. And this is where we hit like a huge theme for the upcoming season, which is consent. And yes, of course, we're going to be talking about that throughout the season. This episode sets the standard pretty high, or arguably pretty damn low, about that. We also have Castiel's return to Earth, the return of his vessel's humanity. But what exactly has been restored in Castiel? I guess we're going to be seeing more of that as the season unfolds. Now, like I said earlier, I would like to ask a question for critical time, and I would really like to encourage listeners to share their thoughts on Discord, on social media, or in a voicemail. And of course, Drew, I also invite you to share some of your thoughts with me today. And the question for this week is, can we really ever truly return to something, or has time changed us or the thing so much that we must always begin anew?
I'm intrigued by the dichotomy of the choice you've essentially left me with here at the end. The can we return or are we always starting anew?
Hmm.
Because I think it is a marriage of the two that really is the answer to today's question, for me at least. I think you can return to something. I think you can restore something. But I think the knowledge you bring to a restoration or that you bring back to when you return will change the thing in a way you could never undo. Like we could never go back to, and again, to use our podcast as a very simple example here, we could even if we went back to the exact same formula, the exact same format, the exact same schedules, the time we had to evolve and grow outside of the podcast over this time will have had an effect on the show, even if we didn't elect to make changes. So, can you ever return 100% to exactly as it was when you got there? No, but I don't think that means you have to start from scratch. I think it just means accepting that we're returning different, but not wrong.
Ooh, I like that. I really like that. And again, folks, please share your thoughts with us. That's kind of like the whole point of these questions.
This week, we have a message from Caroline. Before we listen to it, we want to remind you to send us a 3-minute voicemail to respond to anything we discussed today or ask us a question. You can use the recording app on your phone and email us that recording at carryingwayward@gmail.com.
Dear Carrying Wayward, so 10 days ago, I finally clicked on the Carrying Wayward podcast season 4, episode 1. The tab has been open on my phone for 2 years. I listened to about 10 minutes and said to myself, this is bloody amazing. I went back to the beginning and started with season 1, episode 1. I've been a long time fan of the show, started watching back in 2005. I got into Twitter Supernatural in 2017. During the pandemic, I did a massive binge and rewatched the whole series since the last 3 episodes, and I'm now on season 2, episode 7. I had to write to tell you how much I am enjoying the show. The layout with the recap, storyline, critical time, and the crossroads deal. I love the Twitter, email, voicemail section. The editing is very professional, and the discussion always hits my buttons. Everything comes across very educated. The research and effort are top notch. I feel like I have 3 new fandom friends. So much of your personalities come through. You have a new loyal listener. I have subscribed and certainly will submit reviews. Caroline.
Aw, Caroline, thank you. You know what? Like after coming back from like such a long pause, that's such an amazingly sweet thing to hear. Um, I will also admit I am someone who has tabs open on my computer for things to watch or listen to that are well beyond the 2-year mark. So I feel you, and you've encouraged me to maybe go check some of those tonight, if they're even still physically available. Those medias. But I love the feedback. I love hearing someone finding the show. I know it sounds self indulgent to be like I love hearing a fan like discover us. Like
I
it
know,
sounds
right?
so corny and lame, but like it makes doing this, it makes coming back to this even more
Mhm.
special
Yeah.
to know that even today there's people listening. I'll be honest, I had a moment at some point during the hiatus where I did happen to log into our back end And I, on a whim, like, I wonder what our numbers look like given that we haven't put something out. And there were still people listening to the show. Like, it warmed my heart. It really. So, to anyone listening who was part of that, who discovered us while we were off, or came back, or give a re listen, or if you're one of the people I spoke your ear off about the show at some point on a ferry ride or sitting at a bar somewhere, and you decided to click on the show too, thank you for joining, because if it wasn't for listeners coming and listening and sharing and talking about us, we might still be sitting here in a closet talking to each other about the show, but it wouldn't be as special as it is now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right, Caroline? Thank you so much for this lovely, lovely, lovely email. You did send it in in March of 2024, so I hope that that's still the case and that you still like this podcast. We're working through our backlogs of voicemails and whatnot. We're actually sort of kind of running out, folks, so make sure to send us voicemails. Um, yeah, I just want to say, like, again, this was, I did choose a little bit strategically for this episode, like something that would motivate us a little bit for that. So thank you so much for sending that to us. It really means a lot. And thanks to everyone who has been listening.
Big thank yous. So as we're adapting this section, it's our first time doing this. I'm gonna pose the question. You don't have to answer first, but
Okay. No, I can answer first. That's okay. I'd love to,
I
actually.
would love that too. What did we learn this week?
So, okay, so this episode really made me think, and that's what I was referring to earlier, like when I was talking about how I view this episode differently than I did when I first watched it. Because this episode actually made me think about decision making in healthcare. And like, I know that that might seem really far-fetched, but like, hear me out, right? Because Dean's decision to bypass Sam's will and to have Ezekiel possess him, like, could really be seen as an allegory for medical treatment, right? Like, this literally happens in a hospital too. Sam made very clear that he didn't want medical treatment. He wanted to pass natural, quote unquote, naturally, but Dean went behind his back and had the treatment basically forced onto him. And one of the shows that I watched this year was The Pit. Shout out to Pluto for the recommendation. And it really made me think about like the storyline of with the elderly father. So like just some food for thought about that, I suppose.
The Pit has been on my list. It's one of those shows I need to get to. I think it's just a matter of figuring out if the partner wants to watch it as well, or if it's a solo show. But I'll have to keep note of that when I do get to the elderly father episode, as you put it, or storyline.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? What did you learn?
Well, while this might not be apparent for anyone hearing this episode in a far enough time post release that we did take this large break between seasons 8 and 9, seeing Sam and Dean go straight from death defying antics to more death defying antics, like, it made me grateful for taking time off from things, like even things I love, like this show. Sometimes a pause is the right thing to help, like, refresh and return reinvigorated a little bit.
Mm, that's very true. It's this idea of like beginning anew, right? Even though it's not completely anew, it's just like new enough that it feels new, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. This was Carrying Wayward, a supernatural podcast produced by Rochelle Castellano, hosted by Marie Vigourou
And Drew Schulman. Thank you to everyone supporting us on Coffee or Patreon,
including our bunker patrons, Jeremiah Thomas and Michelle.
We'd also like to thank Jake Lionheart for our music.
Head over to carryingwayward.com to become a patron or a coffee subscriber, and for our merch store and our socials. And write us a review on Apple Podcasts.
Carry on, our wayward friends.